Hi, I'm Jan Muller, and I want to thank you for your purchase of the HomeRight Wallpaper Kit. In just a few minutes, you're going to find out how easy it is to wallpaper any room in your house and get professional results. Now, before we get started, let's make sure everything's in your kit. There's the wetting tray, the fine line cutting guide, the smoother, the cutting knife, the seam roller, and the quick mask. Now, in addition to what's in your kit, you're also going to need a few items. 6-inch putty knife, pencil, pair of scissors, ruler with a straight edge, a level, a bucket, a sponge, and a ladder. Now, the most important step in wallpapering is proper wall preparation. Believe me, if you take time now to properly prepare your walls, you'll have a better job. Now, it's just like painting. You want to make sure there's no dirt, nail holes, or gouges on the wall. And you want to make sure the walls are sealed. Now, I'm lucky here because I'm working with new construction. I've got drywall that I put one layer of primer and one layer of wallpaper sizing on it. Now, because you don't want the adhesion from the wallpaper to soak into the wall. Now, if you're working on older walls and you're not quite sure, it's a good bet to go ahead and seal it, and then put a layer of wallpaper sizing on it. That way you get good adhesion with the wallpaper. Now, when you're wallpapering, it's easy to be able to match one piece of wallpaper next to the other and line up the seams so that they look good and that the pattern matches. But let's say you started wallpapering here, and then you worked your way all the way around the room. Well, when you came up with the last piece of wallpaper, it may not be the right size, and it may not fit next to this one. So then you have a problem. You've got a seam that everyone can see. So it's best to find a place to minimize that seam. Now, I've always found that over a doorway is the best place to start and finish, because most people don't look up over the doorway and then when they walk into the room. So I'm going to start my wallpapering right here over the door, go all the way around, and I'll finish here, and that's where I'll hide the seam. It's important to remember in wall covering that the wallpaper must always be straight. The only problem is the rooms are not straight, so you can't count on a corner, a window, a door, the ceiling. They won't be straight. So you have to make sure that you're starting out with a straight line. So we're going to lay in a plumb line. It's easy to do, too. All you do is take your wallpaper over to the wall. Now remember, we're going to start above the door, so this is where our seam is going to begin and end. So just measure over with the wallpaper, make a mark with a pencil. Don't use a ball pen or a felt tip because that'll bleed through. Now all you have to do is take your level, lay it up against that mark, make sure it's level, and draw in your line. I'm going to take the time to make sure that's perfectly straight because this is the one you're starting out with. That's it. Now, I recommend using pre-pasted wallpaper covering because it just makes the job a lot easier to do. Now, I've already cut this length of wallpaper to the length of the wall, plus I added 2 inches for the top and 2 inches for the bottom. That way I can adjust the design when I hang it. Now, make sure you read the instructions because it'll tell you just how long to leave the wallpaper in the water. It usually takes just about a second or so, and that activates the wallpaper paste. You also want to roll the wallpaper up backwards. That allows it to relax and relieve the tension. Now we're ready to put it in the wetting tray. All you do is take the bar from the wetting tray, slide it through the wallpaper roll, and take it over to your wetting tray. All you do is fill your wetting tray with warm water, and you fill it right up to this line so that this bar is completely submerged in water. You also want to make this lip of the wetting tray right up against your table. That way it'll catch any drips when you're pulling the wallpaper out. Now, there's 2 different places to put the bar with the wallpaper. If you're doing a whole roll of wallpaper that you haven't cut yet, put it on the bar and set it up into this top notch. That way you can pull the wallpaper through and then cut it to the length. Since we've already pre-cut our length, we're going to put it in this bottom one. Now, if you notice, I've got the wallpaper with the glue side up because you want to pull the wallpaper out with the glue side next to this bar. So all you do is just pull it straight up and across your table. Now what we're going to do is what's called booking it. It's a fancy word for folding the paper. All you do is fold the paper in on itself about halfway. And take the other end and fold it in on itself. Just like that. Make sure you don't have any creases. And that your seams are lined up on each side. Now all you have to do is roll it up. You don't want to flatten anything out. Just roll it up just like that. Now we're going to let that sit. For this wallpaper, we let it sit for about 3 minutes. But remember to check your manufacturer's instructions because the times may vary. To prevent any possible paste from getting on your baseboard, flooring, or carpet, in your kit you have Quick Mask. That's a combination of masking tape and poly drop cloth. It's easy to use too. All you do is just put it right next to the wall on the baseboard. Attach the masking tape. When you get out to the end, just cut it off with the built-in cutter and pull it out. That way we protect the flooring. Now it's important to decide how your wallpaper is going to look on the wall right up next to the ceiling, where the wall and the ceiling come together. If we cut the wallpaper like this, you can see that we've cut right through the pattern. It doesn't look so good. The way you want it to look is like this. That way it looks finished. So when you're hanging the wallpaper, you want to leave enough room to be able to cut and leave space where the pattern is. Now you're ready to hang your first piece of wallpaper. So just open up the wallpaper roll and grab that top portion of that book. This is the top part of the wallpaper. Take it over to the wall. And holding that top, just let it drop out. Now we've got our plumb line here, so all we have to do is line it up with the plumb line. We've made sure right up here that we're not going to be cutting through our pattern. Just let that hang down. That way you won't get any wallpaper paste on your ceiling. I'll take your smoother and using downward V strokes, smooth it out to get all the air bubbles out. Don't go back and forth like this because that'll push the glue out to the sides and wallpaper won't be sticking to the wall. Now we can do the bottom portion. Bring it down to the bottom, line it up. And using your downward V strokes, come all the way down. Now don't be afraid to pick the wallpaper back up. If you get a bubble in there, it's fine. You can pick the wallpaper back up. There's plenty of glue on it, so you don't have to worry about it not sticking. There. We've laid our first piece of wallpaper. Now what we have to do is cut the top and the bottom. Now we're going to use the fine line cutting guide to be able to cut the top of the paper right next to the ceiling. This really saves you a lot of trouble. All you do is just take your guide and place it right up against the wall so that you can read where it says fine line cutting guide and the metal edge is right up here. Then just take your wallpaper smoother and smooth it right up next to it, just like that. Now all you have to do is just take your cutting blade and extend it about an inch or an inch and a half. Put it right here and just start cutting right across. Take out your cutting guide. And it smooths it right up into the ceiling. Perfect job. Now we're going to cut the bottom. Use the cutting guide again, but instead of having it so that you can read the label, just turn it upside down. Place it underneath. Smooth down your paper. Take your cutting blade and cut right along the guide. After you do this once or twice, you'll get the hang of it. It goes real quick. You can even use the cutting guide to smooth it out. After each time that you lay a piece of wallpaper, take a sponge, wring it out, and then wipe down the wallpaper. You do this because you want to make sure that you don't leave any wallpaper paste on the wallpaper. Also, if you get any wallpaper paste up along the ceiling, now's the time to get that too. Now we're ready to hang our second piece of wallpaper. Since we hung the first piece straight down the wall, and we know we have a plumb line, so it's hung straight, everything else will hang straight too. So we're going to work back from that piece towards the door. Now, I've already taken off the cover from the wall switch and the outlets in the room, and I've turned off the electricity because we're going to have to cut around that through the wallpaper. Drop it down, and just put this right up next to your design, right up next to that seam. Just like that. Remember, you can move the wallpaper around, pick it up, don't push it or slide it because that will stretch the paper.